Again, Tammy, I will allow you to introduce yourself.
Oh boy. Hi everyone, my name is Tammy Turner. I am the co-owner of Capstone Employment Services. We are a certified woman-owned and minority-owned staffing agency based in downtown Detroit. And we're actually celebrating our 3rd year anniversary today. My partner is on the Zoom meeting as well. Our core business is engineering. We service the Tier 1 automotive suppliers. And we also have quite a few clients who are in the energy industry as well. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, we're going to get started with question 1. What are some of the funding resources available as a result of COVID-19? And this question is for Nicole, Bivings, and Turner. And before you start speaking, if you can go ahead and introduce yourself. If you guys haven't done introductions, we'll just have you introduce yourself before you answer the question. So Nicole, we'll start with you.
All right, I'm Nicole Dietrich. I am the Business Development Manager for Lake Trust Credit Union. We are a credit union. We have 2 locations in Detroit. We are from lake to lake across the state with over 22 locations. There is funding out there. The big one that everyone's still talking about, and there is still the funding, is the PPP funding. There is still, as of Monday when I looked, there is about 100 million still out there. The good news about that is if it's something businesses were sort of interested in and either couldn't get in line, the smaller, more regional financial institutions seem to have a capacity level again. So even if your financial institution isn't one who participated and you're interested, you could still continue to get that funding if you're interested. Of course, there's lots of other grants and options out there that some of my peers will probably talk about as well.
Okay, Bivings, you can go ahead.
My name is Bivings. I am with the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation. I am a District 4 business liaison. And there are still a host of different type of funding sources available for businesses. Kind of what we talked about in our last meeting is the city announced its Detroit Means Business webpage, and if a business owner goes there or anyone interested in starting a business, there's several resources there. So we still have the PPP, which is a Paycheck Protection Program. You have the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, IOD. You have the matching grant for businesses. So there is still a host, and then there's some things like you have the TCF loan relief and the MWF Michigan Entrepreneur Resilience Microloan and Grant Fund. And then there's also still, which is many businesses are tapping into, but there's still also the personal loan. So those are just to name a few. But again, Detroit Means Business webpage, it has a host of information about financial resources.
Okay, Tammy, can you wrap this up?
Yes, not a whole lot more to add than Nicole and Bivings added, but as a small business, we applied for several grants in the PPP loan, and we were actually denied by one of the major banks. I won't say the name, but it's a very large national bank. And then we went to a smaller bank, a local bank, First Independence, located in Detroit, and we were approved immediately and funded within, I think, 3 or 4 days. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I know that so I was in the Goldman Sachs program, and a lot of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, and a lot of the entrepreneurs in that program were finding challenges with some of the major banks. So they started to go through credit unions, such as with Nicole and smaller banks, and they were able to get funding. But also places like Detroit Development Fund, Invest Detroit, Michigan Women Forward, they are offering grants as well. So those might be additional places that people can go to. And interestingly enough, just to wrap up, Magic Johnson had come out and said that he was offering $100 million for minority-owned businesses and women-owned businesses that were not able to receive funding from the first round of PPP money that was allocated.
Nancy, this might be a good time also to jump in instead of talking about it later. Lake Trust announced today that we are doing another round of crowdfunding grant matches.
Excellent.
Yeah, we're really excited. We tested it with some of the Livingston County communities, but we are doing this statewide now, and we're putting $75,000 back into the business communities. We're partnering with Detroit's very own Patronicity. We've had great luck working with them, and we'll be matching businesses up to $1,000. So I can get the details out, but it really is great. I think it will fill fast because it's only open to the first 75 approved applicants. But again, if you go to laketrust.org, it is out there. That's one of the grants, but those are coming through constantly. And if you work with Patronicity, there are a lot out there that you can continue to find.
Okay, so Tammy, did you have a relationship with an individual at First Independence Bank? I know it's a Black-owned bank. And then can you speak on that with the larger national bank as well, if you had a relationship with someone there too?
We actually did not have a relationship at First Independence. So oddly enough, we do now because we weren't funded. Yeah, so the bank that we were denied, we've been banking with them since we've been in business for 3 years.
Oh,
and,
wow.
We applied like as soon as the announcements came out that funding was available, and we were denied. And again, many of the people other entrepreneurs that are in the program, the small Goldman Sachs 10K small businesses had the same issue. And so we didn't have a relationship with First Independence, but we do now as a result of that.
Okay, good news. How has COVID-19 affected small businesses? We're going to start first with Attorney Soble.
Oh.
Whose office I happen to be in. We've had a couple of Wi-Fi issues.
We kind of had a little issue, so.
But we got over it.
Right. I'm David Soble. I'm a real estate and finance attorney. I do a lot of business law as well. I'm located here in Farmington Hills, and we take care of both Michigan real estate and financial legal interests as well as Ohio interests. Right now, what I've been experiencing and the office has been experiencing is quite a few phone calls from business owners trying to get out of contracts because of COVID. So people have made commitments, they've made legal obligations to landlords or to vendors, and now what they're trying to do, unfortunately, because of the economic situation, is they're trying to back out. And so we've been getting a lot of phone calls from business owners trying to renegotiate their agreements, and they can be purchase agreements for buildings or for materials and supplies. So that's what we've been seeing, how it's been affecting small businesses for the past 3 months. And I think it's temporary. I'm also, referring them over to bankers such as, Independent Bank or like Michigan Credit Union or even First Independence Bank, and letting them know that you should contact the institutions for the funding that's available by the federal government. So that is, I'm working quite a bit with lending officials and lending officers as well as state. Right now I'm working with a couple of state regulators dealing with how to get people through on a temporary basis. I will just share this with whoever's watching and the colleagues in this group. There's a lot of people also calling about business bankruptcy as well as personal bankruptcy. And just from my experience in 30 years, I'm going to suggest whoever's thinking of doing that, unless it's just, situation critical and it's a major crisis, that is not the way I would recommend that, business owners go or individuals go at this point. Because if 30 years working at the banks and working on behalf of financial institutions, there are other ways, alternative means that we can negotiate forbearance agreements, workout agreements. We can resolve these a lot better. Your lenders, your creditors do not want you filing bankruptcy. Nobody wins, unfortunately, if you've ever been through the bankruptcy process. I see it quite often in real estate. It's a pretty arduous process. It's really the last hope, the last, people live in hopium sometimes, but the last place that you want to be. There are so many other ways that we can resolve matters for small businesses, and this is still uncharted territory. So most landlords, especially medium-sized landlords, will work with the clients, and every day, even though most people have been sequestered, my team and I have a team of around 10 colleagues. We've been working nonstop since March 23rd, I believe it's when the order was enacted, and now the order today was just lifted by the government, by the governor. But don't take such drastic measures. Take some time, consult with your attorney, and get the facts before you file bankruptcy. Consult with your banker, consult with your accountant. There's just so much available for people out there without having to lose everything. Okay.
Tammy, you want to pick up on that?
Sure. To piggyback on that, as a small business owner, we reached out to all of our creditors and said, hey, we're not an essential business. We're not allowed to still operate. However, we have a lot of temporary employees that were still that were working from home. And so we had to supply them laptops. There were a number of things that we needed to do and expenses that we had to incur to ensure that our employees could still work from home for our clients so that we could stay in business. And I keep jumping back to Goldman Sachs because I was in a program with 37 entrepreneurs, and we were all hit at the same time and feeling the same pinch all together. And so I saw some of the individuals, one guy had a clothing company. He manufactured t-shirts, and then he turned his business into a PPE business. Now he was manufacturing masks, and that was how he was able to pivot and stay in business. I had another gentleman that was in the program that owned a restaurant. It was a fast casual restaurant, and he started making meals for the essential workers in the hospitals. So it was so many things that you could see people learning to pivot and pick up a new business model, or even shopping online. There were so many things that I saw that other entrepreneurs were doing to stay afloat, basically.
Hodari?
So I'm Hodari Brown. I'm the president of the National Business League Detroit chapter, and used to work for the Small Business Administration as well as an entrepreneur myself. And some of the things that have happened to small business as a result of COVID-19 that I've seen is those who have websites and are not technologically savvy, they have to close their doors this entire 3-month period. A lot of restaurants have stayed afloat a little bit due to some help by the city and other people who have bought from these restaurants and have lended services to them to feed some of the healthcare workers in the industry. So that has impacted how restaurants have been impacted. And then again, some businesses have been impacted, such as barbershops, hair salons, where they just haven't been able to be open at all during this time period. So it's been a lot of what Tammy and David said are absolutely correct. Some businesses have had to look at new ways and their contracts from rent and things of that nature. But I think the biggest hit industries are definitely the hair salons, spa industry, and barbershops, and those who have not been able to really been technology savvy and have websites already. They have been hit hardest during this time period, the last 3 months. So it's going to be interesting to see how things unfold in the next 3 months for those businesses and how they can bounce back.
Okay. Bivings, can you tell us what other things that existing businesses are doing right now to stay afloat?
Yeah, many of the things Hodari is saying, they are doing different type of marketing on Facebook or Twitter. Some of our restaurants are doing curbside pickup. They partnered up with Grubhub. They're doing delivery. They're offering certain type of discounts. And then for the businesses that cannot open due to the mandate, they're just preparing preparing themselves to get back open, going through their financials. The COVID-19 has really laid bare to some of our business owners some of the areas where their skills are not so strong. And this time period has been a time where I've been suggesting, and they've been taking that advice and doing it on their own, of getting stronger in those areas. Paperwork, back-end work, being able to draft a profit and loss statement, really understanding the numbers, really trying to understand their customer base, things of that nature.
Okay. And then Mr. Blackwell, we're going to have you introduce yourself. Tell us, what can existing businesses do to compete in our new marketplace?
Well, how's everybody doing? My name is Greg Blackwell. I'm an insurance and financial services agent, as well as I'm certified in financial services. My pharmacy office is located in Southfield, and we've been serving the Southfield and Metro community for the last 10 years. And I may have some clients out there. Most of the folks who are already clients tend to refer us quite a bit, and they say we provide world-class service. So some of the things that existing businesses can really do to compete in this marketplace, and there are businesses that are thriving. This shift, everybody's not hurting from it, and including restaurants. I think the things that businesses can do to compete is they really have to. Right now we're here, so we can talk about down the line what folks can do, but the folks who are already here, they really need to focus on what value they're providing to their clients. It's such that it transcends across them having to purchase it online, them having to go through additional hoops and hurdles. And if you have a client that's really satisfied with the service that you are providing, they're more likely to be willing to jump through and go through some of those hoops and hurdles and things of that nature. So it's, and every business is a little different, but that's one of the biggest things. I'm currently working with a lot of restaurateurs right now. I'm insuring a lot of restaurateurs right now as well, and I'm really seeing firsthand what they're going through. But a lot of them are happy with the shift. Those who lean towards cleanliness and really clean environments and so on and so forth, I mean, they're kind of happy with what they're seeing, because there's going to be an increased demand on not just a burger joint, but a place that is safe to eat, where really high standards are visible and apparent. And for those restaurants and for those businesses that deliver that clear and apparent value and safety, those are the ones that are going to thrive and just continue to march right through this time period, this thing that we're going through.
Okay, Tammy.
The first thing that I thought of when what are existing businesses doing right now to stay afloat, and the first thing I thought of really was adapt. So we have to adapt. We have to learn how to pivot, and that may oftentimes mean creating a new line of business, a new way of doing business, a different business model, and also being able to partner with other business owners and share resources. So that and sometimes those resources are really even just knowledge. Being able to talk to other business owners to find out what they're doing to survive and how they're surviving and how we can help them. And so it's communication, but it's really learning to adapt. Sometimes we're focused on one way of doing things, and then something happens catastrophic like this, and it's like, what are you going to do? You either adapt or get left behind. And so that's always seems to me to be one of the biggest challenges. But even in that adapting, you look up and you're forced to change your business model or create another product line, and then you're making even more money than you were with your original business model. So it sometimes really turns out to be a benefit, to be a plus. So I'm hoping that individuals that are watching this today will feel free to reach out to all of the panelists here and find out ways that we've adapted and things that we've done to stay afloat so we can continue to uplift each other, empower each other.
Okay, thank you. And Hodari?
So to piggyback off what Tammy said, it is some businesses have adapted as well as in order to compete. Like for example, a business like Tonsils Cosmetics, who sells makeup, they've kept their makeup line, but they also added a mask line. And they just saw them this past weekend, and they are selling. Their masks are selling right now more so than their makeup, and that's how they've been able to stay afloat and been able to compete in this new marketplace. And then you have other companies, as mentioned earlier, they're switched over and started making PPE products because hospitals and other healthcare individuals and manufacturing companies, they need some of those things. And then there've been news stories about other manufacturing companies switching over to make signs for schools and universities where they're telling people to stand 6 feet apart and things like that. So you got to think of the new ways of how you can compete right away. But then at the same time, think about what's your main bread and butter. Start having a couple of sales on some of your products. Like some companies who sell products online right now have weekly sales or have a daily sale on certain t-shirts or certain products that they have that usually you probably don't usually see on sale all the time. So some of the local small businesses have started doing that, and doing restaurants also have started having a little bit more daily specials discounted at a different rate, particularly at that lunch special and things of that nature in order to entice people to buy more than one meal at times during this pandemic. So those are a couple of ways that business have competed and are trying to compete or are looking forward to competing in this new marketplace that they're entering right now.
Okay, thank you. What other options do small business owners have besides government funding? We're going to start with Nicole first.
Okay, I think I'm off mute now.
We can hear you.
All right. One of the things I'm most excited and proud that Lake Trust has come to market with in the last year is it's a business purpose microloan. So we are a CDFI institution, which means we look more to give back into the community with some of our lending. So I think there's a lot of type of microloans out there. I think Bivings mentioned it. It would be great if you are in the city of Detroit to connect with them because they do have the resources, but certainly Lake Trust has the microloan. It's $50,000 or less, and it's based on the business owner's personal credit and the income of that business owner. So it takes some of the business out of it. We've actually been seeing, kind of like Tammy and Hodari and Greg even mentioned, some businesses are doing really well and they need to scale very fast. And so we've been able to help them out through that. I think we also, if we're not able to help, we work closely with Build, and there's the Kiva funding, there's the Honeycomb funding. I think, again, just working with your resources. We actually are great partners with 10,000 small businesses. So just working with your resources that are out there, the network here that you're building, one of us probably could help connect you to some of that additional funding.
Okay, thank you, Tammy.
Nicole said everything I wanted to say. I was just gonna say grants, friends, you know, as business owners, you know, we will find a way or make a way to stay afloat. And I've even seen some business owners setting up GoFundMe pages. And I've seen people contributing to that as well. Or even business owners, you know, reaching out to friends personally to say, hey, you know, I'm in a tough jam. You know, that's not the way you want to go, but you do what you need to do as a business owner to stay afloat.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you know, Tammy, the other thing is when you talk about adjusting, people don't realize that right now there's a moratorium on foreclosures as well as evictions, and those evictions go with not only residential evictions, but also commercial. So it's going to be lifted on June 12th. But as attorneys that deal with this every day, I can tell you the courts are going to be jammed with new court cases for evictions, unfortunately, again, both commercial and residential. And if you're in the money business, and most landlords are, they will work something out, okay? Nobody wants to have, right now with the economy the way it is, if you have a vacant space, what are you going to do with it? Who's going to take over that spot so quickly? So again, I encourage the people who are watching, if you're feeling stressed financially, especially when it comes to rent, which is usually the largest, monthly expenditure that people have, besides payroll, is to reapproach. If you feel uncomfortable going directly to your landlord, that's why people do use attorneys as a buffer and also to protect your interest and your rights, because sometimes when you have to give, let's say you're requesting a modification or a forbearance, you're going to actually have to probably sign some type of a new agreement, and that's going to have certain provisions in it that may affect your rights in the future. So you definitely want to consult with an attorney. And if money is tight, there are a lot of good attorneys out there who, we're also business owners and we have to deal with our landlords. So we definitely understand those who do this for a living, what needs to be taken care of, not only financially, but how to protect the client legally so that they can move forward and get that stress off their shoulders. And it is a really tough situation right now for so many people, the hardships.
Yeah.
But every week, at least 7 new people are calling with regards to leases, business owners. And I've had only, I think, 2 landlords, I think just very small percentage, that have said, we are not working with them. And I kind of sit back and I chuckle because I'm like, well, you'll have to wait till court. And at that point, there's other variables that come into play, and that's going to be a judge. You can't pick your judge, but most judges are at this point, they'd have to be very insensitive to the plight of small business owners. And they are also public officials. And if they want to get elected, they're going to have a little compassion for the small business owner. So don't think that the landlord is going to be able to prevail so quickly against a small business owner with an eviction. Okay, that's all I want.
So true, David. So true.
Yeah, I just wanted to add too that crowdfunding is another great resource. Detroit Business Hub Group was able to obtain a loan from Kiva Detroit. So I think Nicole's idea, or her the Lake Trust crowdfunding loan is a great resource too for people who may not have that 620 or higher credit score. That's an alternative. Ways to look for alternative funding is always a good idea right now.
I recently wrote a book called Fire Your Job, Be Your Own Boss. And from the book, I realized that a lot of business owners, especially new business owners, they need help. They don't necessarily know all the ins and outs of business because it's new to them and they're on a learning curve. Because as a business owner, you're not just selling your product or concept, you're also running the business. So you're in charge of human resources, people calling, customer complaints. You're in charge of product quality. You're in charge of people management, hiring staff, payroll. So these are all parts of owning your own business. It's not just the product or service that you're offering. You can either choose to hire people to do those things, but most of the time with new business owners, they do it themselves. The Hub Group comes in to help because we are a group of business professionals. We own our own businesses, and we can help you put those pieces together. So the benefit of the Hub Group is that you have access to 8 to 9 different professionals who on your own, if you were to go to them, more than likely you could not afford them. We're offering you these products at a discounted rate in order to help you grow your business.
If you can't make it in Detroit, you can't make it anywhere. And what that means is simply this. The Detroit population is so diverse. It's one of the most diverse populations in the country. So it's easy to find people who think like me, who agree with me, who want to do business with me. I'm not out there looking for a needle in a haystack. I came to a city where there are thousands of people who want to build wealth, who want to do well in their community, who have a sense of pride, sense of ownership. Those are the people I want to be around because those are my kind of people.
If you're ready to jumpstart your business in 2020, hire the Detroit Business Hub Group and go to my website at nancyo'neil.com.
Everyone is saying the same, not the same thing, the different. No, I don't have anything to add to it. There's
Okay, moving on. How does the current unemployment rate affect small businesses? Mr. Grant, we would like you to introduce yourself, and you can answer that question first.
How you guys doing? My name is Dale Grant. I'm a CPA. My firm is Ashton Business Consulting. We specialize in working with individuals, small businesses, and nonprofits, providing their accounting, tax, and bookkeeping and advisory needs. So one thing before I answer that question, I'm just gonna touch on another thing you guys talked about, funding sources. I thought it was a lot of great answers there. Really look for local sources, and that was really, mentioned CDFIs, those micro lenders. A lot of times they don't require that you have the higher credit score, but also electronic financial institutions. One of the issues with the PPP was that banks aren't as well suited to lend to large swaths of people in a short period of time and receive information electronically. They're old school. You go sit in front of someone and they get to know you and they lend you some money. But because of those issues, one of the things that was opened up was electronic lenders. So that would be things such as when you get PayPal credit or Square credit. So there are some electronic lenders that also have PP funds available. And that's a huge plus if you're a small business owner out there and you don't already have an existing relationship with a banker and you need to get one. So I would definitely be looking at that. And as far as businesses looking to stay afloat, working with a lot of clients and adapting, being able to provide different sets of products and services, but also taking a look at that income statement and finding out where you can lean out some of those expenses. There may very well be costs that you didn't mind incurring during normal economic times that you look at now that you just don't need to incur. You may be able, and it happened with me. There was a service that I don't always use, didn't mind paying it. Contacted the company, I let them know, I'm going to suspend the service for right now. I'm going to cancel the service. They offered to suspend it for 9 months, which was a good solution for me. And it works out both ways, because had I canceled it, I might not have gotten that service back. So just look for ways that you can potentially lean out those expenses and talk with your creditors. Find out if you can renegotiate those terms, and keep in mind, these Fed rates, they're low. The Fed is starting to run out of room with regards to lowering their rates. So if you are comfortable with taking on debt, look and are able to look at your ability to take on debt now, because my suspicion is this is some of the cheapest money you're going to see for a while. So if you want to take on a loan and you were thinking about it, maybe the next 6 months to a year, you might be able to take advantage of extremely low interest rates, because once we get rolling again, they're going to have to raise interest rates. And prior to this economic downturn that we're experiencing, interest rates were rising every quarter at about 0.25%. So that's something you want to keep in mind. The question I was supposed to answer, unemployment rate. So that's affecting business owners. A lot of business owners have unemployment claims that they need to deal with. I think what's really going to happen is that depending upon the type of employees that you have, I think that what's interesting is that business owners and employees are learning that work from home is much more of an option. So, you may need to acquiesce on what are your requirements of employees. What you're going to find is that for people that have lost their job, if you're looking for an employee, you're probably going to find very well qualified people. However, there's, those people know that there's less businesses, just in general out here available. So they're going to be in demand. So I would be prepared for that. I would, people have been experiencing the fact one of the issues is that if you were at minimum wage, getting unemployment, some people made more money on unemployment than they did working. So you may have to consider that if you are a business owner and you are paying at minimum wage, that may be an increased cost that you're looking at. I'm not sure. It could be a harbinger for what's to come because, like I said, people were making more money on unemployment than they were working. And so that, in my mind, that sort of changes psychology as far as what people are willing to come back and work for. So those are some of the things that I would be thinking at. What expenses can I get rid of that no longer apply for the economy ahead of me? And what new expenses am I going to incur? And it won't just be employing people, it's going to be meeting the safety regulations, for those restaurants or other businesses where people are in close contact, and you have a physical location, that business will have to meet specific safety regulations with regards to health checks, temperature checks, making sure that your employees aren't sick or that you have masks or sanitizers. Whatever that compliance is, you're going to have to begin to factor in those expenses as well. And what we're going to see is that, and this is going to be across the board, businesses large and small, it's typical. As a business is required to take on additional cost in order to provide their product or service, that additional cost will get passed on to the consumer. So as business owners, that is something that you will need to reconcile with, that you may need to raise your prices. It doesn't have to be by an astronomical amount, but you may need to add $1 or $2 onto your product or service to help cover additional overhead to be compliant in our brand new economy moving forward.
Okay, thank you, Dale. You had mentioned getting into debt or incurring more debt, and I know that's something a lot of business owners feel like they can't afford right now. Nicole, that was one of the biggest things with the PPP is that a lot of business owners didn't want to apply for the PPP because it was unclear if they could qualify for the grant or not. So can you just speak on that for a moment? And then we have one more question left that everybody can bear with us. We are going to go over a few minutes, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, but Nicole, I didn't want you to speak about that.
Yeah, that the PPP funding is interesting, and you want to make sure that you understand the requirements for forgiveness and that you're working with a specialist. And I think the underlying tone here is you have to have a strong network, right? I spend my days with business owner. I am married to a serial entrepreneur. They're often good doers, right? You're not going to be great at reading all the details and that giant stack of paper. So find a specialist that will help you navigate that. Or the Michigan Chamber has a great PPP forgiveness, understanding that. Bivings has talked about it, I think, on our last call, that they have some resources. So you have to rely on your network. Maybe it's your accountant, whatever it might be, to make sure you understand that, because you do have to make sure you're staying within the guidelines. Not to get too detailed, but you need to be about 75% of pre-COVID payroll. It's just one of the things you want to look at. There's lots of ways in and around that, but a lot of people didn't realize that initially. So you do have to be careful. And to speak to the debt, Dale's right. Right now, our commercial team is really busy refinancing commercial real estate. It's a really good time to look at if you feel like you're in the situation to do so. They are really busy taking that on right now.
Okay, so I'm just going to ask one more question, and then we're going to answer any questions. Robin, if you can let us know through chat or Facebook or LinkedIn if anyone has questions. Because I did want to allow the panelists to answer a couple questions. How is your business or organization helping small business owners as a result of COVID? And I'll let Attorney Soble answer that first, since we just heard from Nicole. Oh, ready?
Yeah. You know what? We're listening. That's what we're doing. We're taking the time and we're listening to what people are concerned about. And that kind of sounds trite, but you know what? People don't listen anymore. And if you listen, there's a lot of fear out there. And so I've been known for 30 years being in the business. One of the things I tell clients all the time, it's going to be okay. And if it's not going to be okay, I let them know as well. So you got to be honest, but you have to listen. So everything else is pretty perfunctory in the sense that we do a lot of negotiation for our clients. And so we are kind of just taking on the stress that they have, and because of the confidence of my client, my colleagues, we know how to handle it with the banks. We know how to negotiate with the banks. I've worked with the banks and I've worked for the banks for many years. I was a former bank insider, so pretty much very familiar with the process of what we call loan workout or business loan forbearance, and that's what we do. So while a lot of people were able to stay home, my staff was working off-site, and we were actually just listening to people's concerns. Not much can happen when the courts are closed or when a lot of the institutions, such as even Lake Trust, a lot of the banks initially were trying to feel their way through the new programs that had just come out from the government. So they too were having issues. So I just told people to be patient. And I'm still telling people be patient. So if you're in a crisis, if you're watching, or if you have clients who are in a crisis, it's going to be okay. It's just, you got to work through it. It's uncharted territory. And if anybody, for those viewers who are watching, if anybody is pushing you to make a decision or to sign a commitment, the first thing I tell clients all the time is 24 hours. You need to tell everybody. They need to, wait for at least 24 hours while you go get a second opinion. Okay, if you're not sure, get a second opinion. So that's what I do. Okay, that's what I've been doing.
Okay, so Hodari, you're next, and then I would like Dale to answer this question as well. How is your business or organization currently helping small business owners as a result of COVID-19?
So the National Business League, what we're doing to help small businesses as a result of COVID-19 is with the technical assistant resources. While you've heard a lot of organizations are out there, DGC has some great resources for people, but what a lot of businesses are struggling with, as I mentioned earlier, is that website presence, that technology presence for their businesses. So we've been helping and prepping businesses for the long haul, for what's to look for, so they can be not just survivors of COVID-19, but they can be thrivers in the new economy, in the new post-COVID-19 era. So that's what we've been working on and what we're aiming to continue to do as we look forward into the next coming months and weeks and years ahead.
Okay. Dale, can you respond to that question?
Sure. Because I'm in the accounting arena, a lot of the business owners were concerned with regards. So everyone was concerned with regards to tax, Michigan tax, federal tax, unemployment benefits, but then also with regards to getting those financial statements ready, prepared. A lot of these businesses, this is the first time that they have applied for a loan, gone through the process, really understanding what those documents are, walking them through that process, going through the language. One of the things that has hung up a lot of business owners are whether or not their income will qualify as payroll for that PPP loan program. And one of the things that we found early on with the program was that the federal government didn't give out a lot of guidance to banks with regards to the loan rules, for lack of a better term. So banks individually and we're talking about employees, it's not like a monolith. This is somebody behind a desk. They are interpreting what these rules are. So some banks would allow some things, other banks would not allow other things. For instance, if you're an independent contractor, but you're the sole owner of that business, can your income qualify as meeting the payroll? And in some instances, we've gotten that we've gotten that through. In other instances, we haven't. Specific to one of the things that Nicole brought up is the meeting those PPP loan forgiveness, because that's really the name of the game. Apply for the loan, and then make sure that you meet those metrics so that you can have that loan forgiven. Have that conversation up front with the banker. I've read that information. I've advised people with regards to what that information means, but I'm not the final determining person as to whether or not that bank will forgive that loan. That banker is. Therefore, up front, before you take the funding, make sure you've got an agreement. Hey, these particular expenses that are outlined on my profit and loss statement that represent my payroll, does this qualify for loan forgiveness? Because if it doesn't, you're going to end up, having to pay this loan back. So it's better to have that conversation on the front end than it is on the back end. So those are a lot of the conversations that's really been occurring for my clients. One, walking them through this process, and then two, strategizing. How are you going to spend that money? So some people got PPP loan, some people got the EIDL loan, some people got other funding. So not all of it. Not everybody needed it all for payroll. So now that you have an extra, some sum of money there, how are you going to spend it in order to further your business? Because remember, you've taken a loan. So you want to make sure you get a return on that money because you're gonna have to pay it back. So that's the next part is let's get you the loan if you need it. And then, let's make sure we hit those metrics, and then let's strategize on the best ways to spend that money. Because as many of us on this panel has outlined today, moving forward in your business will probably look, a little different than what it did pre-pandemic.
Okay. Thank you, Dale. Robin, can we go to a 2-minute commercial break, and then I'm going to have everyone give closing remarks when we get back. I just wanted to let you all know that this webinar was brought to you by Detroit, I can't think the name of our group now, Detroit Business Hub Group. Can we go to the commercial, Robin, or did you play the commercials already? I'm just totally.
When I was in real estate, I actually signed up for a mentorship program. There's a very charismatic salesperson who got me started with the mentorship program. I found out that my mentor was not even a former real estate agent or had experience in real estate. Really didn't get a whole lot out of the experience. So my advice to new business owners is that to make your startup costs count. Startup costs can be very expensive. And this is a tangible investment that you can make into your business that's going to help your business grow. With Detroit Business Hub Group, you not only have one mentor, you actually have 8 to 9 business professionals who are going to help you in every aspect of starting a new business. You don't have to go through that same experience. You're also getting that value of working with 8 to 9 professionals at a fraction of the cost.
I think these are not some of your best friends.
No, I used to work. I used to work in banking for years. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Robin. All right, so we're going to get closing remarks from everyone. I just wanted to thank everyone for sticking out with us. And despite the technical problems, hopefully you walked away with some valuable information today. It doesn't look like anyone has any questions. Thank you, Melissa. She said, great discussion. We always have great discussions with Detroit Business Hub Group. So it's technology. What can I say? I'm still a little rattled over earlier, but we got through it. Anybody that wants to go first, my last question is, how can business owners contact you to receive your services? So hopefully all of you will give us a little bit of a sound bite, like 10 seconds or less, once again with your name, the business that you're with, and then how they can contact you. One method of contact, so that can be phone, email, website, however you want to do that. Nicole,
Okay.
we'll start with you because you did respond to the questions.
Okay, well, I was just actually putting my contact information in the chat, but I am Nicole Dietrich and can be reached at ndietrich, so it's NDIETRICH at laketrust.org. I think the big takeaway here is that Lake Trust not only wants to help, obviously we have the crowdfunding program running. We do have our small business microloan that really is for those that have a hard time getting started because they're not hitting the commercial funding. We do offer commercial lending as well, but we want to be a connector. So if you don't have an account with us, you don't intend to, that's okay. We can be allies, we can be partners. We'll continue to refer to DECG and Bivings and to Nancy, and we work very closely with SBM and MEDC. So we can help you, whether it's FDI there in the city, we'll help you find the resources because we have a big network and we want to help spread our network to everybody else too. Because when small business wins, we all win, right?
Absolutely. And one thing that Hodari and Ken Harris often talk about is building your tribe. So that's what we're attempting to do, I think, with a lot of our organization is to build our tribes and our business communities up. And so, yeah, I mean, Hodari and I basically are partners, and we're, there's plenty of work for all of us out here to do in terms of how we can help small business owners. So please do leave your information in the chat. Also, we're turning this module into, it'll be part of our starter course through Teachable. So please do leave your contact information because we'll be sure to spread it to others on the replay as well as on the Teachable module or starter course. Anybody else? You want to go ahead?
Sure. My name is David Soble, and the best way to reach us is to either call 888-789-1715, or you can go to provenresource.com and online, and we have a whole host of videos, slide shares, everything related to leases, land contracts, any real estate documentation, and we have a whole site dedicated to financial disputes and how people can work through those non-bankruptcy alternatives. I don't do any bankruptcy. Mm-hmm. And my keyword is, just for a parting shot, is the word resilience. If we all were through the Great Recession of 2008, and that was pretty, had a huge impact on so many of us.
Right.
But we're here now, and we're going to get through it again.
Yes.
So that's it. That's what I have.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'll step in with closing remarks. Can you hear me, Nancy?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So I think it was great. A lot of great information. I was kind of listening and jotting some things down at the same time. I think that really folks are just focused on their what value they're providing, so that when economic when things change in the marketplace, clients are willing to jump through those hoops so they can, to obtain your service. I mean, not me personally. I mean, as a licensed agent, I mean, I didn't have to get certified in financial services, but I did so that way I can provide even more value to my clients. So it's just important to just kind of continue to make sure that the service that you're providing will transcend across whatever channels, because you may not be able to do business the same way you used to. So maintaining flexibility, I think, is going to be important. And I'll just share this with you guys. As I mentioned, I insure a lot of restaurants, and I've been working with some startup restaurants. Say, hey, you need to get some liability insurance. Okay, let me get business rolling, and I'll get some liability later on. Well, now that COVID-19 has hit, carry-out business is taking off. Carry-out business is through the roof. But you can't just deliver your carry-out to, you got to have insurance to deliver to, or GM, Chrysler, some of the nursing places. You can't, and so now, hey, I need some insurance now. But now, it's taking a long time to get a policy issued because, we got additional regulations. We got this COVID-19 is out here. We don't want to, in any way be responsible for something bad happening. So you don't want to wait. You want to kind of be, putting the things in place now beforehand. But I think great panel. Build your team, build your network. It's important. I mean, you need to know an attorney. You need to know an accountant. You need to know a really good insurance agent. Myself. So build your team. Build your network.
There's nothing wrong with plugging yourself. We have all those resources in Detroit Business Hub group. So Greg is a good insurance agent. He actually is my personal insurance agent for myself and the business. And so we do recycle dollars between each other. Dale is my actual accountant. So that's another benefit of joining Detroit Business Hub group. Does anybody else have any closing remarks?
Yes, I do. Again, thank you for allowing me to participate and work with you guys through this.
Okay.
Feel free to, I put all my contact information in, but please feel free to reach out to me. My email is last name Bivings, B as in boy, I, B as in Victor, INGS @dgc.org. But what's really going on is it's extremely unfortunate, but what we have here in Detroit is a really strong business ecosystem. There's not really many things that is not tappable in the city of Detroit that can help a business from any type of business. So please feel free to reach out to anyone on this panel, because if we can help you, we definitely can point you in the direction of someone that can help you. And then also, with all the access we have in the business ecosystem in Detroit, there's still several existing entrepreneurs, business owners that do not know us. So I would just encourage other businesses who do know us, who are in the ecosystem, to tell a business owner that may not know. Continue to share the wealth, because a strong business city, competition is good for all businesses. So again, Bivings with the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation. Feel free to reach out to me, or you can go on the DGC's page itself, dgc.org. And please feel free to stop by DetroitMeansBusiness.org. It is a wealth of information, financial information, PPP, PPE, access. So thank you again.
Okay, anybody else? Last call.
This is Tammy Turner from Capstone Employment Services. Nancy, first and foremost, thank you so much for pulling together this panel discussion. Thank you to the other panelists for all the information that you shared. And I think we all can agree that it was just a wealth of knowledge in this panel discussion, not just for entrepreneurs, but aspiring entrepreneurs as well. And the last thing that I would say is if there's entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs out there and they're wondering, what their next steps are, I would say plan, prepare, and execute. Planning meaning that you have a wealth of resources. Reach out to your network, reach out to individuals that are on this panel discussion. That's the planning part of it. Prepare, get your business plans together, look at those income statements as the accountant said. I can't think of his name right off the top of my head. I do apologize.
Dale Grant.
Okay, Dale Grant. I'm sorry. So plan, prepare, and execute. And as you're reaching out to individuals, build your board of personal business advisors, and let us know how we can help. That's what we're here for. Each and every one of us came on this call tonight to see how we can be a resource to other individuals, how we can help. And please, please, please take advantage of that. If you need any kind of staffing needs, you can contact me at tturner@capstonees.com, and that's T Turner at Capstone with a K, KAPSTONEES.com. And we are a very niche organization, so if there's something that we cannot help you with in terms of staffing needs, we will refer you to other individuals in our network that will be able to be a resource. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Again, once again, if you didn't make a closing remark, please leave your contact information in the chat. That will wrap it up for today. We will definitely let you know about the next webinar. Feel free to visit our website at nancyoneal.com/DBHG for Detroit Business Hub Group, and thank you so much for joining us today. We will let you know when we will give away the iPad. We're going to collect everyone's name who was on the call and participated, and we'll contact you directly as well as promote it on our website. Thanks again.